Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Okay, let's make sure everything is working. Alright, so from our last live stream, I realized we back in the register.jsx, what we did after registering the user. Okay. We dispatch the email name, email, then and the password. And then in the use effect, in the use effect, if there's changes in the user and there is a success, which will be handled by our slice, we then navigate to the dashboard. But then back in our back end, is our front end. Back in our back end in the controllers and then the user controller. When we hit the dashboard and make any other further request, we'll also need to check if the user is authenticated. So what we have to do is also to set the cookie. Where's the register? Create user. Okay. Regenerate the pen. Okay. What we also need is to also set cookie after registering the user here. So we can do once token equals to, I want to put this in a function of generate token and pass an ID like this. So let's come back in here. Let's close some of the files that we don't need. Let's close this, and then close this. Keep the user, close out the CSS. We don't need this. Okay. So back in the backend, inside the helper function, what I can also do is to create a function by saying generate token, pass the ID, and then we then bring in, let's take off these things. We then bring in JWT qua JSON web token, and then inside the function here, we can then return jwt.sign with the ID, and then we pass our process tmv.jwt_secret, and then we pass the generate token here. So I should say, so inside the user controller, let's bring in the generate token from our helper function by saying generate token here, token, and then inside the query, after we have created the login, we generate the token with the ID, and then we say res.cookie, which is twt, and then you pass the token like that. All right. So this automatically logs in the user right after we have created the user, something like that. Okay, so let's go back into our front end folder. First of all, let's try to see if the registration work. So back in here, we can then try and then create another user. Trying to create user. Let's use who I like basketball, so let's try and figure out. Let's just do Draymond Green. So let's change this to Draymond at gmail.com and then send request. Internal server. Oh, we didn't pass the ID. Sorry. So wait, back in the backend, in the controllers, user controller, the generate the ID, we need to pass the ID here, which will be user._id. Sorry. So that has already been registered, created. Let's get send request, send users. It will still get created because we have already saved it into our database. Yeah, we already have that in the database, but it really doesn't matter. So let's just try and then create another one. So let's create which other Steph Curry, and then let's do I'll do Steph at gmail.com. Steph at gmail.com. Let's send the request, and that works. Okay, cool. So back in our front end, what then we then need to do now is to conditionally render our header for a situation. Oh, no, let's rather let's conditionally render our header when the user is authenticated, but we will deal with the login later. But because we are logging in the user right after registration, I'd want to also work on the header as well right after the user has been authenticated. So back in our let's close this, let's save this and then close it. Back in our header component front end, right? This is the back end, front end. Okay, back in our component and then the header, what then we can do is to bring in the use selector Oh no. So import use selector from React Redux. What we say is that we want to check if there is user. We use selector, which will then pass our state, and then state dot user, something like that. Let's clean up the console a bit. So let's try console.check if there's the user in the, if we have a user in our local storage. So console.log user. Yeah, we do have a user in local storage. All right, so what then we can do is that we will then have to conditionally render this navigation by coming in here, and then we will say first of all I want some fragment, right? And then we say that if there's user, do something else, do something. So we will then bring in our fragment here, and then put that here, and then back in here we'll then put let's copy this, and then I'll actually will have to change it into a button, and then let's say logout, like that. Yeah. So but then I want the button here, we'll do a button here. Wait, let's clean up this, and then let's do logout, like that. So on click I want to handle logout. Let's come up here and then create the function for the logout. Just handle logout. Oh, shit. Sorry. Handle logout. Should it be anything? And then also logout user, something like that. So let's clean up this, and then click on this, handle logout. Cool. So back in the async slice function, which will be in the Redux folder. Redux, yeah. User slice. Then let us also create the logout function. Let's comment out and say user slice. One sec. Then we write const logout equal b and create async func, and then there should be an auth, and then logout. Now let's use user auth and logout, and then should be an async function. But since we are not passing in any data, we then have to write an underscore and then bring in our thunk API. Sorry, thunk API. So we then do our try catch, and then return fetch to users logout. Sorry, then await fetch users logout. I should let's put this in rest, and then say data equals to the await rest JSON. Then let's return data, whatever that we get from the logout. Maybe we want to send some message back to the client by saying maybe user has been logged out. You never know what data that the programmer is, the backend is returning. So in this situation, in a situation where there is an error, we console.log error. Let's bring this up a bit, and then we will return thunk API.reject with the value error.message. Let's do console.error.message here. Sorry. Exactly. So, but then we'll also need to export the logout function like that. Cool. So let's handle the cases for when there is a add case. Sorry, why do I get these things? Let's add case logout. Sorry, user dot for failed. We will pass a state and an action. And then we say state dot is success to be true, state dot is loading to be false, state dot user equals to null. I also forgot to remove the user from the local storage. So after we do this, we then have to do local storage.remove item user, something like that, to take out the user from the local storage. All right, so that should be about that. Cool. So back in the header file, we then have to import use this patch from React Redux. Then we also need to import the logout user function from our user slice. So back here, then we also need use navigate. Sorry, we also need import use navigate, and then from React Router DOM, and then let's initialize sequence dispatch tch equals use dispatch const navigate equals use navigate. So when the user clicks on the logout button, want to dispatch logout user, and then also navigate to our login. We should work. Do we have any errors? All right, so let's click on the logout, then everything works. Coolly. Let's then come back to the login component GSX, actually login GXX, and then handle the login process. So back in the login page, which is somewhere, let's make this bigger. Back in the login page, let's scroll down to pages, login. Basically, most of the things that we will do will more or less be like the register. So let's copy everything from here, copy, come back to, I usually don't like copying stuff, but I don't know, to make things easier, let's copy and then paste. Yeah, and then let's edit it step by step. So the function in itself, the JSX in itself will be a login. So let's come down, go scroll up, and then change this to login page. Let's change this to login, like that. Export default. Let's do login. Let's just save to see what we can get, if we are getting any errors. Login. Let's come to the login page. And inside, let's take off the use effect. Sorry. And then come in here. Login, cool. I think there's something wrong with the registration, but we'll handle that later. So with the heading, let's do login, and then with the p tag, say login and start transfer, something like that. You can edit it to suit whatever taste that you have. So inside the form, we don't need name. We don't need name. We need our email. We need our password. We email, and then the password. And then inside our state, we don't need that. And then we have an error. So come in here. We don't need the name. Pretty basic. Sorry. Let's refresh. See what we have. All right, cool. So unexpected name. What do we have? Handle submit. Take out that. Refresh. We also we are not dispatching the register, so basically the handle submit, take off that. Yeah, pretty much everything works. Let's go to register page and see what happens. Register, login, register, login. Let's check the Redux to see if we have user, because I think we set the user to null. State, yeah, the user is null. User null, account null. Okay, cool. So let's go back to the login. All right, we have our state already defined, which is the email and then the password, and then the onChange. Do you have the onChange? Yeah. on change, we set the previous data, and then whatever field that we are changing, we set it to our target.the value. So on the, we then have to then go back to our user slides, then we create the login user. So let's start off by saying that export const login user, we create a sync thunk, and then be an auth, then login, we pass a async function, which then, let's make this bigger, we need a user data and thunk API. Right, then from there we do our try catch, and inside it, the error will console log error.message, and then we return thunk API dot reject. I usually like to wait for my with value error.message, like that. So in here, what we then can do is to then make a fetch request. We say response to await fetch API to login. No, users, our endpoint is users login, and then we then set our headers to content type should be application /JSON. Usually I would like to use Axios, but I'm trying to practice using fetch. I mean, the more you use the fetch API, you realize that it's not as complicated as we think. So the method, the method then is post, and then the body we then have to JSON stringify with the user data. Okay, then we then have to do this wait, where's the JSON? It doesn't automatically return a JSON file for us for the response. It returns a long list of objects with, I think it's a promise, something like that. Let's return the data that as our payload. All right, so basically, let's go over the code. What we then do is create the login user, create an async thunk, we pass a name, which is auth, and then login. We should be an async function because we will be trying to do an await here. So we then pass the user data in our thunk API to handle further, to handle a situation where there is an error. We can also get the state from our thunk API, but we'll do that later. Anyway, so our response, we do our try catch. Our response will be a fetch to the users /login. The headers should be a content type of application /JSON. The method is post, the body JSON stringify. We pass in the user data, and then we await by transforming the response into a JSON, then return the data. So in an event when there is an error, we console.log the error.message, then return the thunk API with reject with value error.message. Basically, that's it. So let's scroll down and then also come down by adding our cases by saying dot add case, login user dot pending, we get the state, and then we say state that is loading to be false, state that is true. State that is loading should be true, because that is the state that when the user is making the request. So login user dot fulfilled. With the fulfilled, we have our state, then pass our action, and then we say state dot is loading to be false, and state dot is success to be true, state dot message should be state of message to be null, and then also state that user equals to action dot pay load dot user, actually not payload. Actually, let's check to see what. Oh, there's also, we then need to set the local storage for the login user. Yeah, so when all of this is done and this is success, we then have to say first of all, let us check to see the type of response that we get from the backend when the user login. So controller, user controller, back in the user controller, let's go back to the login user. Let's go back to the login user, create account. Login, okay, cool. We do this. We sign the token. Okay, we just send the email name. Okay, so then we can then do back in here. We can then set the local storage dot set item user, and then JSON dot stringify. We stringify the data. Simple as that. So then back in the situation when there's a success, add case fulfilled, we have that. Then add case of login user dot rejected. We then pass our state and our action, and then state dot is loading to be false, then state dot is success to be false, and then state dot user to be null, and state dot message to be equal to action dot pay dot. Yep. What do we have? What's the problem? What is the problem? So all these things really don't bother your head around them. Sometimes Redux be tripping. Okay. So we have exported the scroll up to login. Create a syncton. Register user. where did we put the login? Are we? Yeah. Okay, so back in the login page, when the submit button is clicked, what then I want to do is I don't need the register user function. I want the login. I want the login user from the user slice. So back in the on submit, handle submit, let's console.log. Let's check to see if we have email and password, and then we do our submission later. So let's do lebron@gmail.com and then password. Let's open up the console to see what we got. Wagwan the console. Alright, cool. We have that. And then do we have our dispatch defined? Yeah, we have our dispatch defined here. So we then dispatch, login user, and then we pass our email and password. Simple as that. Simple as that. Alright, so let's also bring in our use effect too as well. Do we have a use effect? Yeah. So inside the on top of the handle change, let's use the use effect. We want the user and then its success to be our dependency, and say if user or is success, let's navigate to dashboard. Say variety close. Alright, so moment of truth to see if the code works. Submit. Yeah. Dashboard. Oh, go on, sorry. Why do we have these things? What's that? Warning, cannot update component browser. Sometimes you be tripping. Alright, let's log out. Let's update these warning. Looking out, use effect, not on the component is first on it. Huh? What you mean? Let's refresh. Wait, I hope. Log it. Fuck you. Let's log out. Wait, let's just bring it success. Let's bring it user. Right, let's user and see something. User lucky. Alright, let's scroll this. Let's log out. It works. I don't know why. Wait, let's go back to the header component to see what's happening, boys. Oh my days. There's an evil spirit choosing to work. Oh boy. So who in their mind?
Step into Wix Studio.
Who in their rightful mind chooses to be making this noise at the time that I need silence? Jesus. I'm gonna log out. Dispatch, log out. Da da da. Yeah, dispatch, log out. Log out. Yeah, that works. I'm sorry for the for the noise. You know, sometimes it is what it is, isn't it? So trying to figure out why register in here. Do we take off this? Success. Okay. Let's just test for when there's station when there's a user. Let's navigate to dashboard, isn't it? User fact. Da, da, da. Register. Login. Let's close this. Login. Yeah. Close. It's with the problem is with the logout. What is each problem? You should call navigate in React.useEffect. What component is first rendered? That's exactly what I did. Call navigate in. What do I say? User fact. Anyway, we handle that later, but basically the functionalities is working. So say inside dashboard. Okay, cool. So let's try and then style up the heading for a bit. Let's come to app.scss and then inside the main header where there's a button, on the background color to be that red function, that red, where's the red color? Yeah, on the color to be this. The space stay here, and then color to be white. Outline I want to be none, cursor, and then border none. Cursor should be pointer. Then let's bring in some padding, 0.8 all around it, 0.4 all around it, 5. Yeah, so I want something like this. So let's go back into the header and then add other functions. So inside the dashboard, let's go into the dashboard and then bring in link from React route to DOM, and then we say HP, let's say link we do make start transfer. So this should be 2, and then transfer. Okay, let's do create and transfer. So back in the pages folder, let's create a file. The create transfer page, create transfer. Oh, let's see how to make transfer.jsx and rfce. Then let's put this in an h1 tag. h1 heading. Sorry. Say make transfer. It's really cold, man. Okay. So back in the app page. Now let's go back to the dashboard and then change. Let's do let's do create transfer. That makes much more sense. Let's do rename to create transfer like that. No, back in here, rfce. Yeah. So inside the h1 heading, let's say create transfer. Oh. So back inside the app.js gsx, what I want is to import my create transfer from pages, create transfer, then inside the route on the path to be equals to, what did we put here? Sorry. Let's do link, and then let's import, from React router and then bring in the link here. Sorry, we didn't finish off the import. Cool. You don't need this class. We'll say to transfer, let's create something like that. So back in the app, we then say when we hit this endpoint, you want the element to be equal to create transfer, like that. Yes, please. What route did we serve? Transfer, query, dashboard. Oh, we got that mixed up. So transfer, great. Let's go back, refresh. Transfer, great. What is using incorrect casing? Whatever. So apparently should be capital letters, and then let's rename to that. Are you happy now? Are you happy now? Are you happy now? Are you happy now? Cannot find sometimes you just be on some that. This one. You got this. Oh, that thing works. Alright. So we got this sorted. What the hell is the problem? How are we having this problem? Already included. I don't know why, but it works. Okay, so back in the create transfer file, what is it? Page. Let's bring a class name, heading, save. Which one is this? I don't want it to be a link tag. I want it to be h1 and then say create transfer like that. Cool. So in here, then I'd want to create my states. So import use state from React router DOM. No, I mean from React, sorry. Alright, so then we do const from data set from data use state. So What then we need is the account number. Let's put no. We need the name to be an empty string and amount to be not. Cool. So we then bring in the create the form wrapper and then bring in our form. We don't need the action. We need the input group, and then a label. Let's say account number, and we say first let's do name actually. Label, then we do name, and then we do name, and then inputs text name, and then placeholder to be enter name, and then we have our value to be name. Simplito. Let's see what we got. Oh boy. Okay, so let's destructure this. Equals to form. React, are you happy now? Thank you. So you also need an change here. Say change handle change, and let's define the handle change on right at the top of the return function. For now, let's do this. We need a target, but you can say set form. Let's try and create the function once and for all. Set form data. We need our previous state. Previous state, and then evil spirit. Spread our previous state. Then we need e.target name, and then the value should be e.target value. Can you imagine? I'm sorry about the noise, but we move. And then let's also create the submit function to be handle submit. So come up, handle submit. We pass the event and do an e.parent. Pre-event default. And let's say something like console log handle transfer. Also, let's just also check if there's no user. So use effect. Let's import use selector. Then we say you also need to use navigate. Use navigate. we might as well import the use dispatch as well, and then navigate, use navigate here, and then dispatch, but we use dispatch here. Then from there we can say get the user from the state, use selector state dot user. Yeah, we've already brought in the missing. Is anything working? Are we Gucci? Are we Gucci? Cool. So what we then need is okay, what then I want to check is use effect. Can you imagine? Use effect. Our dependency will be the user. And we say if not user, navigate to login. Boom. Cool. Everything works. Alright, so let's continue with the form. Alright, so we need the name. We also need the account number and the amount. So names, name. So we say account number should be a type of an input with a type of number. Name should be account number. ID just to account number, and then in the placeholder we say enter account number, and then the value will be account number. Say why we have this. What's up? It should not be no. Are you serious? Fair enough. Empty string. Empty string. Are you happy? Are you happy? React, are you happy now? Are you happy now? Okay, cool. Name, account number. Then the oh shit. Anyway, we need the amount. Let's go. This guy can make all the noise in the world. I don't care. Oh, it is. We need time should be a number. Name should be amount. And then ID should be amount. And then the value will be same as amount, handle change, enter amount, something like that. Alright, cool. So name, account number, amount, and then we have our button here. Let's do submit, like that. Works. Okay, so this is the form that we would need to use to, let's, instead of saying create transfer, let's say make transfer instead. That's right. That's it. Make transfer, like that. Alright, cool. So we have the name, works. The account numbers doesn't seem to work. So what's up with account number? Account number, what going? Account number. Account number, what you say? Value should be account number. Name, account number, type is number. Cool. Account number, wait. Account number. Oh. Alright. Wait. You have the name, account number. Name is account number. Yep. So why are you tripping? Amount. Level, account number. Name, account number. But how will you change here? What is that? Oh, the fuck. Should be a number. And then the type should be a number. Sorry. Ah, cool. Sorry. I don't need to do this. Cool. So Let then come to slice and then create the slice for the come to Redux and then let's create the transfer slice. But yes, transfer slice. No, first of all, let's create a folder for transfer. And then inside the transfer, we create a transfer slice.js. Cool. So we need to import create slice. Then create a sync thunk, and then initial state should be transfers, should be an empty. Then bring this loading false is success, false is error, false, and then message to be null. Then we also create a transfer slice, create slice, we have the name transfer, and then we have the initial state. Initial state to be the initial state. Then our reducers, first of all, I want to do the reset state and set it to our initial state, something like that. And then extra reducers builder, we need the builder, then we add our cases. Yeah, we then export fault transfer slice, but our reducer, we also need to export const our reset to be transfer slice the actions, like that. So we come into our store and then we import our transfer reducer from inside our Redux transfer slice. So back in here, transfer reducer. Say React, do you have any problems for me? Do you have any problems for me? You don't? Are you serious? You don't. You of all people. Okay, so let's go back to the backend. And then controllers, transfer controller. Cool. So inside the transfer controller, we are trying to make transfer. We are trying to hit this endpoint, which when we check our route, transfer route, when we check our route, it's supposed to be / transfers. So what we need is the account number of the user that we are trying to make transfers to. Why do you have this? I don't understand why this is a problem. But anyway, let's move on. So we've sorted out this transfer slice. We come back to the transfer slice. This is bothering me. I just don't know why. But it works. Anyway, let's see what happens. Anyway, so let's go to our requests file, and then first of all, let's try and then get someone's account details. So scrolling down, did we create something like that? Command find account. Okay, let's get all accounts. Cool. Okay, we have LeBron James. We have a balance of that. Coolly. And then let's see, what do we got? Okay, let's use Jamorant. He be balling nowadays, isn't it? Let's copy. And then come in here. And then where's my notes here? Inside the notes, let's name, copy, I need the name, and then account number, where you at? Account number, that. Right. Is it the same as Jamorant? Yeah, that's the account number. Okay, so account number to be that. Cool. All right. Save, bring our note somewhere here, close our response. Cool. So inside the transfer slice, let's create our make request function. Okay, so inside here we say make transfer. Make transfer. I don't know if I should use make transfer or create transfer. What one should we use? Create transfer. Simple. Transfer. So export const create transfer. We are create async thunk. We then need the name, which will be transfer create. Then an async function and we need the transfer data. And our thunk API, and then let's comment this out here, just it. Then inside the create thunk function, we do our try catch. First of all, let's console log the error.message, and then return our thunk API and reject with value error.message. So let's then make the request by saying response should be equals to await fetch into /transfer, and headers should be content content type should be application, right? /JSON, and then the method should be post, and then the body should be JSON.stringify. The transfer data. Then we await transform our response to a JSON. Say our data should be await where's the JSON. Come on. Then we return our data. Cool it. Alright, so let's come down to our extra reducers where we handle our async request, where we say and add the cases builder add case to create transfer dot pending. We pass our state, and then state that is loading to be false. State dot that's the only thing we need in the pending situation. Then add another case and say create transfer that for failed. We need state and then action. So what we then do is state that is loading to be false, state that is success to be true, and then state dot transfers dot push action dot payload. Alright, so we add to what's already existing in the initial state of an empty array. Oh, transfers. Yeah, okay. State dot transfers to be that. Call it. Then add another case of create transfer that's rejected. We need a state, and then action, and then state that is loading to be false, like that. State dot error, state that is error to be true, and then state that message should be action okay load, something like that. It's called. Okay. What do we got? All right. So back in the create transfer GSX, what I want to do so that we don't repeat ourselves is just set the initial state to these numbers. I mean these figures. So we don't need this. We don't need the login. We don't need the user slice. And then the dashboard, we don't need the dashboard. We don't need app CSS. We don't need the register. We don't need a register. We don't need a header. Create transfer. Yeah. So in the initial state, I'll take this off later, but I just don't want to type in this over and over again. So I'll just put these figures here. Sorry. I'll just put that here. And then where's my notes? And then in that, I'll just copy this. And then account number. Let's bring this one up. Yeah, and then the account number, I'll just paste this one here. And then the amount, I just 100. Okay. React, do you have any problems for me? React, you got a problem? React, you got a problem? Boy. I know you don't. I know you're a good boy. Okay, so you've already said this dispatch, So let's bring in the create transfer function from the transfer slice, and then in the event when we submit, we dispatch the create transfer, and then we pass our data, which will be account number. Now let's start with the name first. Name, account number, and then amount, like that. Cool. So moment of truth. Let's send. Nothing happens. Okay, let's check our Redux to see if we have any changes to our states when it comes to the transfer. Yay! So transfers, when we check the transfer, we have what? We have that. Why do we have these crazy figures? Okay. Let's bring in the transfer slash. Then we say const transfers should be equals to use vector plus our state, and then state dot transfer. What did we use for the reducer transfer? Okay, cool. So transfer like that. Okay, let's try and check to see what we got for the transfers. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? That. So where from the its success is true? Oh, yeah. No, so let's go back to the backend. This is not what I want to send back. What I want to send back is the actual transfer, the transfer document. So let's go back and then yeah. So make transfer, and then sender ID, receiver ID, await handle, all these just say, yeah, cool. So what I want to do is to, after sending that, I also want to send the transfer document, which is this. That. Cool. Is that it? Yeah. Do we need this? Do we need this balance? I just only send the transfer document. That's it. Yeah. Let's only send the transfer document. Yeah. So back in the, let's also work on the get transfers. Yeah. Then you say get transfers equals to async request response, then res.json message get transfers, like that. Yeah. So back in the route, with the transfer route, we then have to make sure we just bring in the get transfer first. Get transfers, and then when there's a get request, out of the get, we want to authenticate first and get transfers. Cool. So let's come down to the request.rest file and try and hit the endpoint to see if, first of all, let us log in with the let's try and log in first. Yeah, users login. Okay, let's log in first. Cool. And then down. Let's try and get transfers. So it should be a get request HTTP localhost port 5000 transfers. Let's send to see if we can hit the endpoint. Okay, HTTP. Why are we getting this? Transfer. Yeah, okay, works. I want to change the route to trans. Okay, let's keep it transfer. Keep it like that simple. So back inside the transfer controller, what I want to do is to the user ID will be the request.user._ID. So transfers will be await transfer model dot find. I want an all. Then I'll say sender ID equals to user ID, and then I'll say receiver ID should be equals to user ID. Yeah. And then I'll say if not should we put this in a try catch? Okay, let's put this in a try catch then. I'll take this one off. Okay. I'll put this in a try catch. I'll say try catch. What's the problem? Try catch error. Also let's log error, and then I want to return JSON status of 500. Sorry, 500.json message internal server error, and then I'll paste my code here, and then from there I'll say if not transfers, I want to return rest.status of 400 bad request. And then from there, status of 200.json, then I'll send back my transfers like that. Are we Gucci? Go. Let's go back to the request to rest function. and then let's get transfers. Collate. So this is the first one that we send back to the user. Yeah. So that gets all the transfers from for our user. Let's make a couple of, let's have like 2 of them here. Let's send, cool. You have 3 of them. So when we come to our front end, back end actually, and then send the request. We have, oh boy, we cleared this. He was spread. Okay, let's let's refresh. Yeah. And then make the request again. Make the request. Make the request. Cool. Let's comment this out before we delete it. Okay. Oh my days. Let's send a request. You have like 3 of them. Cool. Okay. Let's make it bigger. Yeah, so we have 3 requests successfully made. Alright. So back in the front end, then we can then let's close this. Close this. Close this. And then I don't know why this is a problem. Anybody in the comment section can explain, because I'm importing the create transfer function and we are importing it from, should I bring you up like that? Doesn't work. I don't know. Anyway, can someone explain this to me? I don't understand why I'm having this error. Anyway, so back in the create transfer, what then I'll do is to, after successfully making the transfer, what I also want to get from the state is, do we have transfers? All right, let's make the is success like that. Cool. And let's have another use effect here. Then we have the is success dependency, and then we say if it's success, and then navigate to dashboard. What I want to do is navigate to something like transfers, but we don't have the transfers. We don't have the transfers page, but let's say we create it. All right, okay. So let's come back in here, and then inside the pages, how long has this been? Inside the pages, what I want to do is to create the transfers page. So new file, say transfers.jsx, transfers.jsx rfce rafce, yeah, and then transfers, go, yeah. So inside the app, I want to try to take this up a bit. Make this bigger, please. Pause. So let's import the transfers from our pages. Transfers. Yeah, just stripping. So inside the dash route, I want to go towards the path of transfers. I want the element to be equals to transfers, like that. Go, refresh. That works. Are you working? All right. Then inside the transfers, what I want to do is immediately we hit the transfers. I want to get all the transfers of that particular user. So we then import use effect, use state, then use effect from React, and then okay, so cons transfer data set. No, what I want to use import dispatch further. Import, sorry. So contact use dispatch and use use selector, and then I'll say cons dispatch, just use dispatch, and then cons use select, cons transfers, just use selector on the state transfer. I also want to check if the user is logged in selector. I want to pass the state that's user. So in the use effect, first of all, let's just focus on one problem at a time. And then user, yeah, there is a if not user. I want to also use the navigate. There are other ways of protecting routes, but use navigate, and then let's initialize that here. Press navigate. So if the user is not logged in, just navigate to login like that. Do you have a problem, React? No, you don't. Good boy. And then what? I want another use effect where immediately the page loaders also gets all transfers. So I'll say something like dispatch. I'll say something like dispatch. Are we having this problem? Say dispatch get transfers like that, but we have not created that function yet. So let's go back into our transfer slice. So Redux transfer slice, and then we come up here, then say get all transfers. So export const get transfers, create an async thunk, and then will be transfer get transfers. Then we pass our async, then we already have the backend authenticating if the user is logging, so we don't need to pass any data. So we pass a try catch, we console.log error.message, and then we return our thunk API rejected value message. Then we create our response, and then we just await and return our data. And then handle the cases down here. So then we add our case, get transfers dot pending state, pass the state, state is loading true. Then we add another case by get transfer dot fulfilled, pass a state, action state that is loading to be false, state that is success to be true, state that transfer transfer goes to action payload. And then add our case of get trans first action. Oh, sorry, and it's rejected like that. We then do our basic state handler. State that is loaded to be false. State that is success to be false. State that is to be true. State that message should be action payload. Pretty much that's it. So let's go over the code and say we export the get transfers function, create an async tag, which will be transfer, get transfers. We pass our async function, async callback function, which should be an underscore because we are authenticating the user from the back end. Sometimes you might probably would want to send something like a token or something from the front end, but it really doesn't matter at this point because we are doing the authentication at the back end. So we do a try catch method function, sorry, and then we have a response from fetch from transfer. We transform the data to a JSON, return the JSON, console log the error, then we get the return the message with the error, that message. Okay, cool. And then down here, which is we made a mistake here. All right, we handle our cases down here. That's pending get transfers, pending state that is loaded to be true, state that is loaded to be false, state that is success true, state that transfers should be our action the payload, and then when it is rejected, it's loading, it's false, it's success false, it's error to be true, then that. Cool. So back in the transfers, we can then import get transfers from the transfer slice like that, and then in the dispatch we then dispatch that, but it's not defined. Hello dispatch patch, it's not defined. Use dispatch. The fuck? What the? Okay. Refresh. Okay. Okay. So that's not transfers. What happens? Yay, you have all the transfers coming in. All right. So I think I'll end the live stream here today, and then most likely let's switch on that, and then your transfers. So the next thing we might probably need to do is run a list of transfers. Yeah. So we can then come in here and then say something like inside the front end component, we can then create a file here and say transfer list.jsx, like that, RAFCE, and then we then and then your list of transfers. Then inside the transfers, we then import the transfer list here, and then we use that here. Like that. Transfer list is not defined. What you mean? Oh, we named it wrong. Let's rename. Transfer list, like that. Transfer list. Yeah. And then in here, we say transfer list. Really? I gotta misbehave now. Cool. So you have something like this. Okay. So I'll end the live stream here and then most likely continue another time.